Well, good evening and welcome. Where's Danny and where is Maestro? Who knows? But we've got Base the Kid on time, ready to go. Hold on.
As
Danny's here.
always.
Danny's here.
Come on.
Good evening and welcome to all of you. You know what it is. It's Sunday night. We are debating the Ring of Fire. I'm just going to faff about with something at the back because I'm trying to change the background on this so it's neutral. And it doesn't. Let me have a look. It won't let us play over that then. That's what it is. Yeah, we're going to have to stick on my one. I don't know where Maestro is, but welcome to all of you. The live debate. Welcome to Base the Kid. Welcome to Danny from Fight Fan TV. How have you all been? It feels like we haven't done this for ages.
It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a bit, but hey, we're here.
We are here. I see you all doing your things, jumping on other lives, doing your own lives. This is obviously streaming across all of our platforms. I've put all the cheesy stuff in a banner that goes across the bottom because I can't be bothered to say it because it just sounds cheesy. But I will say subscribe to Base the Kid. I will say subscribe to Danny from Fight Fan TV. Right, I'm going to go straight to the chat. And I don't know if this is you, man, done for. Has he got a new username
Yeah,
again?
that's you, man.
Oh my days. Good evening to you, man. Healer done for. I don't know whose heels he's on about.
No. Basically, a heel means it's a bad guy in like wrestling terms. So he's done a heel turn.
Right. Okay,
Yeah.
I am with you.
Because there's a
heel
baby face.
H-E-A-L. Yeah,
Yeah, baby face is the good guy, and then the heel is the bad guy.
we like it. Well, you learn something new every day. Good evening to you then. You, man. I ain't calling you heel, but you, man, will do. Karma Serene, how you doing? Good evening to you. I see Base has always got the love for the ladies. Von straight away.
Everyone's got to love karma.
Straight. Well, they have. There is that. But Von straight for the neck, straight away. Fury got exposed. We're going to be covering all of that. Mr. A, good evening to you. David Haysom, Fury got robbed. I like this. I like the fact that Fury got exposed. Fury got robbed. There's so many different points of view on this fight. Oh, and here he is. Maestro, better late than never. Even though you're muted. Can't hear you. While you're sorting out your mic, I'm going to carry on through the chats. You Love Boxing, shout out to you. Good evening as well. Phil Larkin, good evening. October Red, Rain. Hope is our lovely subscriber from over the seas. Mexican by heritage.
I'm good now.
American by land. Oh, welcome, Maestro. How are you?
Yeah, I'm very well. Sorry, I was rushing to get back, but I'm very happy to be here with some of my favorite people to talk boxing with on a Saturday or Sunday, I should say, afternoon/evening for you guys over there.
Well, I'm glad you're here because Chris Collymore was having, he's a bit upset. He's saying, where's Maestro? So at least you've fulfilled his needs.
Big up, Chris.
Yeah, hope if you can subscribe to all their channels. I'm sure the guys will put their links in the chat so you can go and support those as well. So yeah, Jay Green straight in. The ref save Fury. DJ Conspiracy, good evening. Cola Bello, big up October. Been waiting for this one all day. I like that. And we like the fact that you're here as well. So big up boys and girls. Skyliner, thank you. Fury Defense League are punching the air in anger. Fury is no longer unbeaten. And then obviously we're going through the ref talk. I'll come back to the chat in a bit because there's a few in here at the moment. Guys, what fight do you want to start from? Because I know we could spend all day debating the Fury fight. But on the undercard, what do you think's a fair fight to start from?
Kakache and Cordina was a cracker, as they'd say out there.
It definitely was. But do you want to talk? Does anyone want to talk on Kovalev?
Not really.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a shame, but it just shows age in it. A younger, fresher guy, because Kovalev had the better talent. You could see the boxing skills was still there, but it just wasn't there like it used to be anymore.
Well, also the gap between light heavyweight and cruiserweight is the biggest in the sport. I mean, it's 25 pounds, nearly 2 stone. So I mean, was also fighting out of his natural weight class, which was 175 pounds. I mean, he's not a cruiserweight. You know,
It's just unfortunate he can't make light heavy anymore. But he's too small for cruiser. Just is what it is.
Yeah.
Do you think he should retire after this fight?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, could you imagine him being in there with any of the top guys at 200 pounds? I can't. And we saw the difference between a Sergey Kovalev and a Bradis, who fought his heart out in the co-feature fight. Not that much younger than Kovalev, but much more accomplished, obviously, as a cruiserweight. And I would say a better boxer overall as well. I mean, he honestly is very underrated in my opinion. Has been for quite some time in terms of his abilities as a fighter. He just came up yet again against brutal, talented young lion in the sport in Jail Pataya.
We're going to get to that. We're going to get to that because that's something I want to cover. So do you want to go then from Cordina Cacace? Yeah? Start there?
Yeah, we could start there.
Yeah, go on then, Mike.
Very interesting. YouTube autoplay struck hard last week because, you know, I'm making coffee. I'm doing different things around the house. I finished watching one video, another video pops up. And in one video, a boxing video, they were making fun of the man's name, wondering where he's from, what kind of name is that. It was very silly. My understanding is that he's Italian.
He is Italian Irish.
And guess what? I mean, if you have Italian, this is for my North American folk right here, right? If you have Italians living in Argentina, in Brazil, in the United States, in Canada, why is it weird to you that there'd be Italians living in under European countries? Like, I just don't understand that. So anyways, they thought it was weird that a guy from Ireland has a name like that. I don't find it weird, but whatever. They were totally underrated him. Anybody who's followed me for a while knows that I am a big fan of the IBO title, made prestigious, in my opinion, by the GOAT himself, Lennox Lewis. So anytime I see an IBO guy, I don't just dismiss them. You know, you look at the guys that hold the IBO title right now. Loma holds it. Dimitri Bivol holds it. Usyk went into the ring with it on Saturday night, and others as well. So Cacace was an IBO title holder, went in for the IBF title holder, and in an exchange where both of them were being kind of rough, and by the way, Cordina threw late as well, Cacace responded with a combination and did what I would counsel any fighter to do when somebody's trying to be mean and rugged and rough with you. You be mean and rugged and rough back. And that's exactly what he did. And from that moment on, it was all Apache, the new IBF, WBO, IBO unified champion of the world. So that I thought it was a great fight.
The one thing I will say before I pass it on to the rest of you guys is that what I found extremely annoying is that they wrote off Cacace before he got in the ring. It was so disrespectful. It was almost like they were saying it was the last roll of the dice. He's finished. You know, fair play to him. And obviously, that, you know, Cordina is the favorite. I understand when someone's the favorite, but writing him off like that, to me, it was just disrespectful. Cacace is a good fighter. And the way that it was his output, but it was how he was doing it. He was calculated with what he was doing, and the uppercuts were just working beautifully. But he'd go to the body, he'd go to the head, he'd go to the side of the head. There was such a variation coming in from him. He was a bully in there. And when he had Joel Cordina up against the ropes, which he did a few times, it was just an onslaught. It was an attack, and it was beautiful to watch from a boxing perspective. Danny?
Yeah, at the end of the day, you know, because I know Joe Cordina quite well, you know, being a former stablemate of Craig's, so you know, hung around him a lot. Him and Craig were very close. So watching it, I was when the shot late came in. Obviously, I was annoyed, but I was more annoyed with the referee because he done so many things wrong. One, he didn't allow Joe to take time, like a proper few minutes to regroup himself. I'm surprised he didn't take a point off, but hey, he didn't. But he didn't do anything. Then when Joe got dropped, he allowed a 1930 style fight to situation to ensure where he didn't tell Kakachi to go to the neutral corner. So Kakachi was standing literally behind the ref like this,
waiting to go,
and just got to pounce straight back on Joe. But what Joe did make the mistake where, you know, everybody knows the ref always tells you from, you know, you meet in the center of the ring, protect yourself at all times. Yes, the ref said break, but he relaxed himself. And at the end of the day, it's a fight. When you're in a fight, you got to be prepared that a guy is willing to take it dirty and take it to the streets. Just like you might have to get roughhouse and use some dark art tactics to get the advantage. So Joe did make the mistake, but the ref also did some 3 major mistakes for me in there. But hey, Kakachi did what he needed to do and he got the job done.
Did he relax though, Danny? Because to me, he threw his hands when the referee said break. Like, there's no doubt that Kakachi threw late, but so did Joe Cordina. It's not like the referee said break. Maybe we could go back and watch the sequence again, but I felt like they both went late, and Kakachi just got the better of it.
I didn't see Joe's one late because obviously I don't think Joe's. If he did throw late, I don't know if it landed because it didn't look like it did.
I don't think it did land, but
yeah, so
the referee definitely wasn't in a good position for sure. But that's kind of how I saw it when I was watching it live. But I definitely like to go back and watch it again.
Yeah, but also Joe, he didn't help matters where he just literally sat on the ropes for too long. He did this in his last fight where he just sat on the rope, inviting the guy like he was trying to look for this catch counter to try and turn the fight around. But when you're taking big shots, that was just taking piece by piece out of him. And he said something quite alarming in the corner after the 6th round.
Yes.
Where he said to Tony, "Oh, my arse has gone." And I was like,
yes.
What? Did he just say that?
Yeah, I'm sure he said that. And he's called.
I thought he said legs.
I thought he said something's gone.
I
did hear him say something's gone.
I thought it was legs, but all right.
Yeah. But something was gone.
Yeah, I heard that. Yeah, that he said something was gone because I remember like bloody hell. Base, what are you thinking? I know you're going to come with the facts now.
No. Do you know what? I'm gonna I never said that this was I never wrote Anthony Kakachi off, but I did say this was last chance saloon because at the end of the day he's 35. This is the first opportunity that he's kind of getting at a world title, and if he didn't win, is he really going to get another one? So he was even talking in a lot of the lead up, almost like, yeah, you know, this is kind of the big one for me, and I finally get my opportunity. Almost like if I lose this, then you know, there's nothing else. I'm not going to go in a rebuild at the age of 35. So I looked at it, and I always said that he would have the if he actually gets into a rhythm and gets into a rhythm early, he's gonna have the skills to frustrate and definitely make this fight very difficult for Joe. But I had predicted that he would be sort of in the ascendancy in a fight, but then Joe Cordina may be able to catch him with something that ultimately takes it that will take him out around about the 8th round. Well, lo and behold, it was pretty much a role reversal of that. I never expected it would be off of a punch on the break that he's not braced for. That I guess was the downfall, because as soon as that punch happened, all of a sudden everything else Kakachi landed basically hit and hurt him. Whereas in those first 2 and a bit rounds before that, it seemed like Joe was just managing the rounds very well, controlling the distance, controlling the pace. And Kakachi was almost like he was trying to just get on the inside just so he could try and find a way to work. But from that moment, it's almost like Joe Cordina done his typical, his fiery Maltese blood thing. Oh, you hit me. Okay, now it's a fight. But him boiling down to 130 for the last couple of fights, even after he's said that it's not really, he doesn't really want to be down there. You could tell that he just wasn't going to end in his favor if he's going to go toe to toe with a guy that's comfortable at the weight, as opposed to him who's bursting at the seams, who went down to that weight initially from 135. So even though I will give him props, because I don't know if it was the ceremonial weigh-in, but he looked amazing at the scales. Like, he didn't look sunken in, he didn't look drawn like he did in his last fight. He looked really clear and clean. I thought, okay, he's made this weight really well. Following day, he looked good, but it could very well have been the Devin Haney effect, staying at the weight way too long. So you've basically got no punch resistance at that weight. Because let's be honest, nobody expected Anthony Kakache to get a knockout when he's had that was his 24th fight, and he only had 8 knockouts prior to that. So that's not the way you expected him to win the fight. Even though neither him or Joe were the biggest of punchers, you can kind of see that he's had that punch before. We've seen him execute it on guys that are very durable. So that's kind of why I went with him to win. But I did think it would be a live fight, at least for sort of 5-6 rounds. I didn't see it going the way it did. Congratulations to Anthony Kakache. Although the one thing I will say is, at the end of that fight, it did sound like he was almost he was going to, sell that belt to the highest bidder. The way he was talking was very much like, we're going to go on the road and blah. It sounded like, pay me the money and let's have a fight. That's what it's kind of sounded like. So he said, I want to be back in Saudi. They're not going to give him any nice, easy first defenses. So yeah, I don't know how long he's going to have it.
He's in his mid-30s. He wants a big payday. I'm sure he doesn't want to be.
No, I don't blame him. I'm just saying that's how it sounded. It didn't sound like, oh, I'm trying to be a reigning champion. It's like, you want this belt? Pay me the money, sir. I want to fight here again. Like, let's make it happen. So, but congrats to him. He's okay, the IBO is a nice accompaniment title, but it's not legit by itself. It has to kind of be accompanied with something. Now he's got both. So shout out to him.
Big up. October Red, I can freeze frame it. I have my screen shared. We don't have to play the video, but I can freeze frame it starting with the initial clinch.
Okay, that's fine.
Just to kind of review what I was talking about. So my screen is there if you want to pull it up.
Oh, is that how it works? You learn something new every day.
All right, so you can see it here, right? So they're in the clinch, right? And we go here. Who's initiating the referee is stepping in to break them, and you can see it's Cordina that goes to throw, and then Kakache comes right back, boom. But the initial throwing of the punches when they were in the clinch and the referee was stepping in to break them, that was Cordina. I could run it back again.
Well, the thing is, Maestro, if you look at that, so when the referee calls for, he says stop boxing. Cordina's throwing as he's saying the word stop, and as he says the word boxing is at the point where Kakache is obviously thrown again. You have to go closer and look at the referee's mouth, because he says it twice.
My only argument here is that I don't blame Kakache for throwing hands when he just got hit in a clinch when the referee was stepping in to break them. It's like, this wasn't a situation where protect yourself at all times. It was a situation where a guy was throwing. Immediately after throwing, he got caught. It's not like they were just breaking up and one guy had his hands down and got caught. He literally just finished throwing a pretty vicious punch.
Joe didn't throw a vicious punch, and Joe had stepped back, as you can see. That's why when he got caught, you could see his body's relaxing. That's why
him using his forearm here too. Roughhouse tactics.
That's before.
Look at him using his forearm here.
That's before the break.
This is illegal. Then he's using his forearm.
But that's why the ref was stepping in.
Yeah, he's using his forearm with his left, then he's stepping in to throw that with his right. Don't forget, his forearm was up in Kakache's throat. And what does Kakache do? Bing, bang. I mean, I'm just saying I don't have a problem with that personally.
Hey.
Yeah,
Roughhouse tactics get met with roughhouse tactics.
Yeah, they did say that. I think they were speaking that was probably one of the reasons that shook up Cordina for the rest of the fight. But it is what it is. We've got a new champion. I've heard that there's the mandatory. Is it Nunes? So I know you're saying that he's talking about highest bidder, but it looks like somebody's there sitting there waiting for that opportunity anyway. Because it seems as if Cookout was just the keep busy fight that's gone wrong.
And Sugar Nunes is a matchroom fighter, and he is dangerous. If you want to talk, I think Kakachi's got power recently. No, Nunes has legit power. He will KO Kakachi. Like, that's not even a prediction I need to wait for the basis picks for. If you've seen Sugar Nunes, he's dangerous.
Base, I've got to go straight back to you because we're going to speak about your guy, Jai Opetaia. Obviously, you know him better than the rest of us. So I want you to break that fight down before we put our 50 pence worth into it. And the chat, we can see it, but I just want to make sure we get through these fights as time will fly.
Yeah, sure. Look, I mean, I thought it was a very measured performance by Jai. I predicted the fight would actually play out that way. Obviously, I spoke to him prior to the fight, and he had definitely given me vibes that he wants to, basically wanted to make a statement and make it a lot more conclusive than the first time. However, for me, I never thought that he was going to look at it in terms of being conclusive is I have to go for the knockout. I think it's just the last one was fairly close, and obviously it went sort of bad-ish from like the 4th, 5th round when the first part of the jaw broke to like the 10th round when the second part of the jaw broke. And I had said, I don't, as much as we know that Jai is a warrior, like he's a battle, he's prepared to go through the fire, he's prepared to do whatever he's got to do to survive. I had a feeling and a belief that mentally, I mean, Jordan Thompson fine, Elizaro fine, but Bradus is the one that did the damage to me. Bradus is the one that broke my jaw. So I felt mentally he's got that in his mind. And his whole game plan would be more, I'm gonna shoot from the outside, I'm gonna stay as safe as I can because I'm faster than him, I've got the better range than him, and I can move better than him in terms of speed and angles, especially from the angle I'm shooting at. So I'm just gonna go from the outside, try shoot to the body, see if I can slow him down, tire him out, and then potentially, if I can, I'll try and take him out early, but I don't want to exchange. And that's exactly how the fight played out. There even the bunch of times when he was like right in close, you could see rather than him where he would normally instinctively throw a shot, he's actually almost hesitated, like,
Yes.
I want to make sure that this guy's not going to try and throw back, because we know that with Maris Bradus, the one game you don't win with him is that inside fighting. Even if you get to the punch first, he trusts his chin, and you know that his shots hurt, his shots ring true, they ring hard, and he knows how to clinch fight, he knows how to be dirty, within the rules of being dirty, minus obviously the elbow to Kovatsky, but he knows how to to sort of roughhouse and sort of beat you in that way. And obviously there's several times you saw Jai motioning to the back of the head. There was a couple of times he was aiming those shots. It's the tactic, unsettle him, make him want to come into a fight and play to your game. And yes, so Jai was very tentative. He was selectively aggressive as opposed to like regular Jai that we're used to. But I thought it was just a controlled and just a very well-paced performance up until sort of round 9 and sort of round 10, when at that point I feel Bradus felt, all right, you know what, he looks like he's maybe slowed down a little bit. I'm gonna step forward now and make him have to fight and see what he's got left. Ended up breaking his nose or badly bruising or damaging his nose in the 10th. I think it was through a clash of heads initially, but I know Punch ended up getting in that salvo as well. And then from there, obviously, you've got Jai. It's a repeat of the first fight. Jai is now hanging on in the last part of the fight to see the final bell. But he managed to stack up a lot more rounds, a lot more conclusively in this fight than the first one, to make it so that he didn't even have to wonder if he was going to win. All he had to do at that point was just see the final bell. So yeah, a lot more tentative towards the end of it. Didn't engage. I guess at that point he thought, I've broke something, I don't want to break anything else if I don't have to. But he also didn't run from the fire if it came to him as well. So it was a good performance. I know some people have said, oh, there's that maybe like a little exposure, he's not as good as we thought he was. No, it's just Bradus is him. Bradus is that guy. He's always been that guy. No one is going to have an easy night with him, regardless of whether he's 39, 2 years out the ring. He's always going to be a nightmare for you to fight. And that's just how I saw it. So there's no shine that's come off of his stock for me, or like, you know, he's still him. It's just that we know that sometimes you just happen to have that boogie person, that boogie man, or just that style that you can't quite do your best with, or you can't be your best self with, I should say. And that just maybe Giles, but there's no one else in that division that I believe like gives him that kind of problem and issue. But yeah, good performance. There was a good performance from Bradis as well. Shout out to Bradis. Obviously very slow at the start, but he came on and showed that, look, I might be the old lion, but you ain't taking over the pride that easy. And you know, he made Jai work for it, and they're both wearing their battle scars with pride yet again.
Together in the back room, Danny, talk to us.
Yeah, I know some people were saying, you know, they was expecting a 1-round blowout and a 3-round blowout because of what the first time most people had actually seen him is probably against Jordan Thompson for the first time, most Brits, and then they'd have seen him blast out Ellis Zorro. But a lot of them don't actually know who Maris Bradis is. They don't realize this is the same guy who went 114 with Oleksandr Usyk. So this guy ain't no punk. Like, this guy, he was unified cruiserweight world champion himself. He's always been a problem for everybody, really. So no one's going to blast him out. I thought he would get blasted out because of inactivity and age, but when he was in there, I realized, oh, this is the same guy. This guy is just a man that's hard as nails. This is a man you don't really want to get in a tussle with in the streets. You know what I mean? A little Dutch courage might make you a bit gassed, and you might find out, this Latvian brother is he's definitely got that Lala strength. If for those who watch World's Strongest Man, so
Okay.
yeah, so yeah, and what's it? Big Zaviskus as well. He's from Latvia as well. But yeah, Jai Pataya showed good skills, good, nice, straight left hands, big power shots, which was knocking the head back of Bradis, but Bradis was able to take them well. When Jai Pataya was trying to come in with the straight left to the body, he was leaving himself a bit open for the counter left hook at times. But hey, this is boxing, and I think Jai, he likes that kind of fight, because I remember in that head-to-head press conference with Jordan Thompson, he was like, "Don't disappoint me. I want to fight." Like, so he loves all that blood and guts. Like, I know Mr. John Fury likes talking about he's here for the blood and guts and he lives for this, but Jai Pataya, you can see in this guy's eyes, he's talking about, you know, I don't disrespect no one. I respect everyone, and I earn respect. You know what I mean? And it reminds me of that dancehall tune, for those who remember. Me not frightened of nobody, and me respect everybody. Nobody better than way. So yeah, those who know that tune there, that it reminds me of that. It's that mentality. So I respect that. So big up Jai, and I don't see anybody in the division giving him problems like that either. There's just Bradis is just that guy in it. He obviously has a very, very hard hands, very hard head. And yeah, he's a proud man. I think it's a good thing for him to bow out on that loss, because yeah, he is getting on a bit, and he probably ain't gonna do better than what he has done in the past. But yeah, onwards and upwards for Jai, and yeah, happy for him.
Yeah, Maestro, talk to us, man.
Yeah, look, I think all of the key points were hit here. It was an old lion against the young lion, and Maris Bradis, to me, showed that he's the second best cruiserweight in the world. I don't know how long he wants to continue on with his career, but this is a guy off the top of my head who's defeated Marco Huck. He's defeated Junior Dorticos. He's defeated Mahmoud Char. He went as close as anyone's ever gone with Usyk, and there's a number of other top tier cruiserweights he's challenged or defended his title against. And here's the thing: this isn't Evander Holyfield's cruiserweight division. We're going to get into that later when we talk about Usyk's greatness. This is arguably the best ever era of cruiserweights in the history of boxing. I mean, it's obviously a relatively new division, but it is a stacked cruiserweight division. Even more so, I'd say 3 or 4 years ago, around the whole World Series of Boxing time, than today. But Bradis showed his skills. We saw that they both do a lot of things well in terms of their skills. You know, they can both box from the outside. They both have that kind of bouncy athleticism. They can both kind of fence with that jab and set up power shots off of that jab. But the other thing, and maybe it's been mentioned, but if it hasn't, I'm going to mention it now. Bradis had a long spell of inactivity going into this fight. And it almost seemed as though he really needed the first few rounds in the beginning in order to have the kind of strong late, mid, late, and late rounds that he did. I actually thought he finished stronger, believe it or not, than Opataya did, at least in that 12th round. I think that the inactivity clearly affected him. I think inactivity is one of the worst things for a boxer. If you guys remember, he was chasing a Jake Paul fight for a really long time, which I thought was a huge
songs.
Right? I was putting on that Super Mario outfit and turning up at the O2. I thought that was a bad look at the time, and I'm saying that as somebody who's an admirer of Bradis. But look, no one has given Opataya the fight that Bradis did, not once but twice, and no one, including I would even say maybe potentially Tyson Fury. We'll get to that later. Has gone as close with Usyk as Bradis has. And by the way, heavyweight is not Usyk's natural division. His natural division is cruiserweight. So the fact that Bradis went with him at that level of Usyk is even more impressive. You know, so look, I think he showed his skills, and it's up to him where he goes from here. But I definitely think he beats the other cruiserweight champions out there.
Yeah, interesting. I know that obviously Jaya Pataya come onto I hadn't watched any of his fights before I saw him fight Bradis. Bradis is somebody that I've liked, and I like that his style of fighting. Like you said, that kind of fencing style. We've seen it with Usyk. We see it with the Eastern Europeans, Russians over that side. I'm a big fan of their style. I expected Jaya Pataya, because of his activity, to get a stoppage. However, I did say, Bradis is tough, but why I'm more swaying towards talking about Bradis rather than Jaya Pataya is because he's been out the ring, like you said, Maestro, for 2 years. I had to look on BoxRec when I was on the live to check to see if he'd had any ghost fights, any fights that weren't recorded, because he literally has come back into the fight. He's going into obviously the 13th round. It's like everything was there, the muscle memory, everything was there. And it was the first time that I've seen Jaya Opataya, like Bass said, quite rightly so, tentative, not so, very wary about going inside to trade with him. I think, the fight almost came across to me as, anticlimactical. We had that knockout with Kakachi, the action-packed fight, and then this one was almost like a chess match until later on. I think it was maybe from round 8 or 9 onwards when, they both started to wake up. But I'm going to just ask a question, and yes, it's Bradis. Yes, Bradis broke him into pieces last time, and he's got that memory of that, which made him unsure of himself. Or is it because he's weary of power? Now, that's just me putting it out to you lot.
I think it's I don't want to discount Bradis and his abilities. He's a very tricky style to face. You look at the amount of feints he uses. You look at the angles that he gives his opponents. He's moving his head. He's fencing with the jab. It's not an easy style to fight. I actually thought Opetaia did really well, especially to start the fight and in the mid rounds, because he clearly had a plan, and he was fighting within that skill set and within that plan and wasn't overdoing it. So I thought it was a combination of Bradis's high skill set, but also the discipline of Jai Opetaia. Because let's be honest, once you get to a certain level, you're not going out there to blast dudes out in 1 or 2 rounds. If the knockout comes, it comes, but you're going there to use your boxing skills, which is what he did.
Yeah, I don't think he's worried about power as such, because if that's the case, he would have been more tentative with Jordan. Everyone knew that Jordan, if he didn't have anything else, he had power. He had a big punch, and he took his punch. Remember that shot that he ate it and walked forward and then fired back. But it's different when, like, you know that you can take a shot, but again, it's not the fact that he would be worried about taking the shot. He said he's had shots to the jaw already. It seems fine for him, but to me, I'm just thinking it's him. He's the one that broke the jaw. It's like sometimes I guess when you're younger, potentially, and you had maybe that one school bully, and you actually grow up and you're taller and you're bigger than this guy now, but you still remember he was the one that used to terrorize you at school. So you still got that scar tissue in the remaining. Yeah, there's another example I could give, but it's not for, I guess it's not for now. But yeah, that's what I think. I think it's just the fact I'm going to be careful because it's you. And I know that what you done to me before, as opposed to just power. Because he's faced, I've seen some of his previous fights, like one summer they like Telly Ahio and those kind of guys in Australia. Some of those guys are big punchers as well. And he's just stood in the pocket toe to toe and traded with them. But they've obviously not done what Bradis has done. So I think that's just what it is. I know that you're capable of that. So let me be conservative. That's my opinion.
No, I hear that. That's why I wanted your opinion. Remy has put in there Maris Bradis and Jay did great in the clinch. A shout out to you, Remy. Opetaia isn't retiring undefeated. Yesterday would have shown his weaknesses to his competitors, in my opinion. And shout out to you, Iffy. Okay. They've all got weaknesses, and I do agree with that to some extent. But we've got to go to the main event, and I'm going to start with Danny for the main event. But what I am going to say, shout out to Tyson Fury for walking out to Buju Banton, walk like a champion. I nearly fell off my chair. I thought, what is this geezer doing? I went, Buju Banton? But anyway, Danny, the floor is yours, and I want you to talk about as much as you can, even back to Daddy-O headbutting the 30-year-old that everyone thought was 12. Whatever, let's go.
Yeah, Tyson Fury with a Buju Banton. Well, I know he already got a dub plate by Mr. Fearon with the K-Putton thing, even though, he should have made that dub plate for Craig, but hey, it is what it is. So I wasn't surprised. And Irish guys, they're known for loving a bit of the old reggae and revival. They know all the tunes. So yeah, it wasn't the biggest shock. But
well, we were outside together, so to speak. I'll leave that there.
Yeah, let me not get into that. But so yeah, on to the fight week. The dad obviously disgraced himself. He made himself a bit scarce, or someone made him a bit more scarce during the rest of the fight week. I predicted that Usyk would beat Fury and would drop him along the way. And also, even when you go into the entrance music, the way he came out for the ring walk, it reminded me of when Billy Joe came out against Canelo. Way too much, trying to overcompensate nerves with trying to look overconfident and happy when he was clearly nervous. The way he couldn't look at Usyk in the face in the press conference, very reminiscent of my brother Errol.
Dillian. No, I was about to say running out to the ring. But sorry, that's what I was thinking.
My brother Errol couldn't look at
David Rodigan, another dancehall enthusiast.
Okay. Yes, Tim Westwood. But but yes, and then at the weigh-in, Fury wanted no parts of the face-off. So what he did, he made it as short as possible by it just straight pushing like an idiot, just so he can make a kerfuffle. So, anyways, he's come out, tried to overcompensate with the entrance music. Great tactics by Fury. He came in and tried everything. He did the boxing on the outside, used the long range uppercuts. He even tried the holding, but all of his tactics was to no avail at the end of the day, because Usyk was just, he did exactly what I thought. He would use the angles. I didn't know he would go to the body so often early doors, but that was a very good tactic, because Fury's good at, wiggling the head, but that big body, and people said he's lost a lot of weight, but once he was in the ring and you saw, that the midriff, it was still that what do you call it? That derby was very heavy. So there was a lot of midriff for Usyk to work on. And by the 7th, I noticed, I said, Fury's getting tired now. I noticed he's getting tired. Yeah, he rocked Usyk in the 6th. Usyk really had to dig deep. Then body shots started taking it, started really hurting him. But that 9th round, everyone's talking about that 9th round, because if that was the other way around, where Usyk bounced off about 8 ropes like Fury did, we know that would have got waved off. Why the ref didn't let him either, detonate that straight left just to put him on the canvas or wave it off, I don't know. I scored it 116, 113. I said 117, 113 because I scored the last round 10-10, but I thought because Fury did look a bit more energized, I'll give him the last round. So I had it 116, 113. I didn't like how Fury used the excuse of, Ukraine's in the war, so they're just going to give it to him. So he feels he got robbed or something. Even though at the end of the fight, you can see the way he's embracing. I think he was looking for a draw, and he would have been happy to settle with a draw. Usyk, for me, I don't know what is left for him to prove, really. Fury trumps were high. Yeah, they were high, but the ref did say at the start of the fight, this is legal, this is legal. So he said it for both of them. So I think he thought both of their trumps was probably a bit higher, to be fair. So yeah, I don't know what's left for Usyk. He's cleaned out and he's avenged his big bros two losses back to back at the end, and he's managed to claim them back for him. So the Klitschko's were very happy with that as well, I could see.
Yeah, Maestro.
Yeah, where should we begin? You want to start with
You start wherever you want.
All right, so look, the thing is with these Saudi cards is that the festivities, like the grand arrivals, the press conferences, the weigh-ins, unfortunately, they happen really early, so I'm at work. So I get caught up on these things a little bit later. Typically in the United States, if they happen, they're happening in the afternoon, so I see them after work. I gotta say, I was very, very disappointed by the behavior of John Fury with that headbutt. I don't think it did him any favors. I don't think it did Tyson any favors. Not that, the sins of the father should necessarily be paid for by the son, but it was, to say it was out of line is I would say an understatement. I mean, it was a straight up assault. And I mean, we texted about this. The thing about it is, somebody with a street fighting background, I was surprised that he would headbutt somebody from above. And I mentioned this because the hard part of the head is the top part. So essentially so it's no wonder he got busted up like that. People headbutt from below using the hard part of their head, but whatever. That's inconsequential. It took a little bit of attention for a little bit from what I felt really needed to be discussed, which was this generational fight. It's been nearly 25 years since we've seen a undisputed heavyweight champion, the last person to do it. And I do give him credit for holding 4 belts, because he held the IBO belt. And I'm talking about the GOAT, Lennox Lewis. Shout out to my brother Joe Habib. He'd been saying for a while that Tyson Fury's better than Lennox Lewis. I don't think Tyson Fury's better than Lennox Lewis. And look, I'm going to start off with tactically what I expected and what I actually saw. Maybe what I expected, because I'd actually picked Fury to win this fight, was more of a Lennox Lewis style approach. boxing tall, boxing long, imposing a heavy jab, and when need be, clinch on the inside, hit with the opposite hand, push your guy to the ropes, roughhouse him. I didn't really see a lot of that from Tyson Fury. I didn't see a lot of clinching, to be honest. In fact, I saw more showboating than I saw clinching. And my wife, who's actually a Tyson Fury fan, was like very disappointed by that, by the first few rounds, because she's like, what is he doing? Why is he showboating? Why isn't he boxing? Why isn't he disciplined? Why doesn't he stick to the plan? And he was doing something that Usyk made him pay for quite early on, which was going straight back with his hands down. He popped him on the nose. I mean, you would expect that to be a warning sign, but in fact, flash forward to the 9th round, and again he's going backwards, hands down, and he gets busted up. And look, Mark Nelson is one of my favorite referees. He's from Minnesota. I've seen him at a number of different fights in various locations. He was in Quebec City recently when I was there for the Arthur Betterby Callum Smith fight. He's also done a bunch of Morrell Jr. cards in Minnesota too, and he's all over. I was surprised to see him get this assignment in Saudi, but obviously Saudi's using foreign referees. What I didn't understand about the ruling that he made, I'm actually in agreement that if somebody is held up by the ropes, that should be considered a knockdown. But to me, the very first punch that hit him hard knocked him into the ropes. And if you're going to say that if the ropes hold you up, that should be a knockdown, I don't understand why you didn't do it on the very first hard punch that sent him backwards into the ropes. What I don't understand is why he does it. He falls into the ropes at least 2 more times, and then it becomes a knockdown. So that didn't make sense. It happened. The final one happened right before the end of the round. You could definitely make a case that, he could have stepped in and stopped the fight. For sure, you can do that, but he didn't. And I think one of the reasons he didn't is because Tyson Fury in the past has shown that when he goes down from hard shots, including from Deontay Wilder, not just in the first fight, mind you, in the third fight as well, he does recover and come back. So he used the 10th round to recover and come back. And then I thought he did reasonably well in the 11th. I gave him the 12th round. But what I got to say is that this was a very exciting fight to watch. We saw the battle of mental approaches, which, by the way, Tyson Fury lost because the showboating didn't work, did it? I mean, we saw the battle of the herky-jerky. We saw the battle of the jabs. We saw the battle of power punches. We saw the battle of inside fighting even, and body shots, which, by the way, I assumed and thought that Tyson Fury would use a lot more of. Kind of dirty boxing, holding a lot, clinching, hitting with the opposite hand. Again, the type of stuff that I learned about boxing from watching Lennox Lewis and seeing him do that masterfully to people who he had a size advantage over. Great win by Usyk. I don't want to criticize Fury too much for post-fight comments, and there's 2 reasons. One, boxers are in a terrible position. I mean, you're on this big stage. It's not a team sport. It's an individual sport. You're there by yourself. You just lost. He probably has a broken nose. He's buzzed up from getting hit, obviously very hard. And then somebody sticks a microphone in your face and asks you what you think, right? I tend not to judge fighters based on what they say in that immediate moment, but what they say later on, right? So even with Wilder, with the excuses he made, I was quite lenient at the beginning. Where I wasn't lenient was if he kept saying it over and over. Once he started saying it over and over again later on, I think if Fury does that, then you do judge him. But here's the other side of that. It would be disingenuous for us to say, as people working in boxing and following boxing and talking about boxing, that the Ukraine narrative is not constantly brought up. It's brought up over and over again. It's brought up with Usyk. It's brought up with Lomachenko. It was brought up last night at the Top Rank card in San Diego at the Navarrete fight. Navarrete obviously lost a big fight. It was brought up there. It's constantly asked. It's constantly presented. So I'm not
By the fighters or by those that are doing like the interviews?
Media members. So does that mean that judges are influenced? No, of course not. But what it does shape our fighters' perceptions of what's going on in the sport. And I think obviously Fury was influenced
Emotional?
by that, emotional and influenced by that. But wrapping this up, what I want to see, and I'm hoping we all get to see it, is a rematch. And what it does set up, if Fury is able to do this, which is rebound, make adjustments, maybe start working with another trainer. Who knows? We'll see about that. Because I think one thing Ben Davidson was very good at as a cornerman was the technical planning and also the between the round technical adjustments and reinforcements. That's gone. AJ is benefiting from that now. But think about this. If Usyk and Fury rematch, the IBF title goes vacant. Joshua is able to pick up the IBF title. Fury beats Usyk in a rematch. Now you have Fury versus Joshua potentially for Undisputed. Or if Usyk wins the rematch, you have Joshua going for glory in all of the belts in a trilogy fight with Usyk. Any way you play it, it is a great, great time to be a fan of British heavyweight boxing.
Absolutely. Let me just pause there before I jump onto base. I just want to go to a couple of super chats that we've had come in. Matt Lloyd, any thoughts on Andy Lee's comments in the corner? Also, both Andy and John talking over Sugar's instructions. I was going to definitely touch on that, but base is up next. Mike Tyler. So sorry, apologies. Shout out to Matt Lloyd. And thank you for the donation. Mike Tyler, $4.99. Thank you to you too. Tyson Fury smashes Usyk in the rematch by stoppage. This is a good take, Maestro. So, yeah. Over to base.
He needs Lennox. That's what he needs.
Lennox.
In terms of any of the corner stuff, I'll leave that to you because I wasn't really paying attention to any of that. Two things. First off, Danny, you said that you scored it 116, 113. What rounds did you give draw rounds?
No, just the 12th. No, and
Okay.
with 116, 113, I had no draw rounds. I said I had it 117, 113 because I gave the 12th round 10-10, but then on because I wrote it all down on the Twitex, but then I thought Fury was a bit more energetic, so at best I can give it 116, 113 to Usyk. So there was no with 116, 113, there was no 10-10 rounds.
Except for round 12.
No, not with 116, 113.
But 116, 112 would be.
No.
You're losing me now. This is what
116, 112 is 12 rounds. That's 8 rounds to 4. So 116, 113 would suggest you've got a draw round in there.
No, because it was a 10-8 round.
Listen, this is what I
because
don't
it's
do.
7
So that
rounds
should be
to
116, 111 then.
Look, there's an easy way to do this. Get yourself
7 rounds to 5.
Post your scorecards to social media.
So it would have been 116, 114, but there's a 10-8, so it's 13. Do you get it now?
No,
I don't get it.
yeah, send it to us in the chat and I'll look at it there.
It doesn't... it's all on Twitter X. I wrote everything round by round.
I felt that the swing rounds. Which rounds did you think were swing rounds based? I thought that the second was a swing round.
No, to be honest, I didn't have any swing rounds. The only rounds that I would understand if people maybe looked at different was the 3rd and the 12th. Some people looked at the 7th. I disagreed at that. I didn't really have those, but I didn't have swing rounds, to be honest. I thought all the rounds were fairly conclusive, except for maybe the 3rd at best.
You give the 12th round to?
I gave the 12th to Usyk.
Okay, I gave the 12th to Fury.
But yeah, going there. So I was just trying to understand some of the scorecards there. But look, with regards to the fight itself, the lead up, obviously, you guys, most of you would have seen the video I did talking about the John Fury situation. I don't think he really serves any purpose apart from just to be a nuisance around around people in general. I understand he's obviously the coach of like Isaac Lowe and that, but he's lucky because bearing in mind that he's actually like an active member of like coaching staff for some of the people on the actual fight card. He's lucky that Team Usyk didn't decide to do some shenanigans and get him arrested, because he's banged to rights. It's on every camera from every angle. He's absolutely lucky that they're honorable men that didn't take it further than it needed to go, because then that would have messed up the entire camp's preparations while they was over there. So that's the first thing. But yeah, in terms of the press conference, in terms of like the weigh-in, even the ring walks, yeah, you could. Look, I'm no, I'm no body language specialist, but you can tell when Tyson Fury is confident and relaxed and when he's on edge. And he was on edge, the same way that he was trying to get a rise out of Usyk at the first press conference that we was all at down at out on it. Like, you could tell that he was trying to get something to give himself some confidence, because he never acts like that in that manner. He's never that aggressive. He's never that agitated. It's like, it almost felt like I'm being forced into something that I don't want to be forced into. And yeah, so the whole fight just sort of played out that way. And even like the showboating, for instance, in the first round, well, in that entire first round, Usyk's pounding to the body like consistently. I was expecting him to employ body work from early to make the legs slow, to make the head drop, to come through at the end. But when you're there in the first round doing all of the showboating stuff, that's not normally Tyson's MO. He normally waits a couple of rounds, unless it's like a Tom Schwartz, to do that, just to show, oh, you're really not on my level. Look how easy this is. In that first round, he's literally there showboating after being punched in his stomach about 6 or 7 times, repeatedly, without dodging a shot. So the whole optics, him trying to act like, oh, I'm bossing this round, the whole thing seemed desperate from the start. He got into the fight, but rounds 2 and 3 I thought was clear Usyk, but Fury did a lot better in the third, so some people gave him that call. Rounds 4, 5, 6 and 7, some people gave Usyk 7. I thought that was a clear Fury round. I'm like, oh, Fury's in the ascendancy. He's actually he's picking up the pace. He's showing, the little guy why he's a little guy. He's using the reach effectively. He's moving a bit better. He's finding the good shots, body shots. Some of these are really nasty. He's starting to whip in the uppercuts a little bit to the body, and he's having everything his way. But in that moment, he's still being forced to fight at times when he wants to break. At times when he wants to do his herky-jerky feints, and Usyk's not falling for it. He's still in his wheelhouse, in his distance, making him have to either fight or making him have to flight, basically. And you could just kind of tell that even though you thought, oh, Usyk's maybe, wearing down a little bit himself, he's still mentally switched on enough to just keep that pressure on. Don't give him a moment. Round 8 comes and Usyk turns the tide back in his favor again, popping those left hands up top, bang, breaks the nose instantly. And Fury is now, in a bit of a panic, because this was after they clashed heads a couple of times, and you got Fury checking the eye a couple of times for the head clashes. So even from the fact that Usyk caught him with that backhand in the first round, same as he did to AJ, just not as quickly. He did it in the last minute as opposed to the first 15 seconds. It's like Fury just never really switched on to that and realized, oh, okay, he must have thought, okay, well, I'm the bigger guy, I'm going to get to him eventually. And then we saw in round 9. Now, look, as far as I'm concerned, like, Mark Nelson made a couple of bad calls in the fight. I'm not going to chastise him for not stopping the fight in the 9th, but as far as I'm concerned, if we're going on, well, is it fair all the way around? Or sometimes they say, well, referees, they take into account what people have done before. Well, as much as they do that, that's not their job. You're not supposed to take into account what happened before. You're supposed to apply the letter of the law. The letter of the law is, if you're taking punches unanswered, undefended, you're staggering around, you cannot suitably defend yourself in that moment, the referee is supposed to either stop the fight or call a count to check to see if you can still go. And the fact that Oleksandr Usyk had Tyson Fury going all around the ring for nearly 20 seconds, a good 20 seconds, like he's not got footing, bouncing off the ropes here, ropes there, arms down by his side, taking, maybe managing to get away from a couple just due to height, but taking big shots left, right, and center, can't steady himself. Like, that is a moment there you're supposed to stop the fight, because this guy is no longer able to defend himself and he's taking clean, flush, unanswered shots. But cool, he didn't, and ultimately Tyson Fury survived the rest of the fight. So congrats to him. We already know he's got unnatural powers of recovery, so we give him that. Round 10, Usyk's on him. Just again, he's trying to close and trying to finish again, but obviously he's exerted a lot of energy. He's tired at this point, and Tyson Fury just managing to stay away just enough to not get any of those hard shots. Round 11, similar. Usyk, he slowed down at the end of the 10th to say, okay, I'm going to try and get him again in the 11th. Couldn't really do that. Tyson Fury came back well in the 12th, but I still gave that to Usyk because Usyk just applied more pressure. He was applying pressure. He was still landing shots throughout. He outlanded Tyson Fury in the 12th. Tyson had he had two small salvo moments, but those two salvos weren't enough to take away from the consistent work and the consistent punches that Usyk was landing in that 12th round. And even when he was trying to be in the clinch and employ the clinch, Usyk, very smart. He would either be able to slip underneath the arms, which he's been training to do, or he would tuck himself in and get into Tyson Fury sideways using his shoulder as a natural barrier. So Fury wasn't able to get any underhooks in, or he'd have his arms close into his chest. So the only thing Fury could do is maybe just try and hold him in like a bear hug type situation. And by that time, he can either push him off with the shoulder or slip underneath it. And that's why he was able to sort of get out a lot of those clinches, and Fury wasn't able to employ that as a tactic. So, I mean, to me, I had it scored very comfortably to Usyk. I had it 111, 116 to Usyk. If people said 112, 115, cool. If they want to give that 12th round, again, I didn't see the third as that competitive, but some people did. Either way, the absolute best you could give to Fury was 6 rounds, and that's being extremely generous. So the fact that one judge tried to have it 7 rounds to him, to me, just simplified and showed that there was supposed to be either a fix or there was supposed to be a no conclusive winner in that fight. But Usyk was on his Amy Winehouse shit, because they tried to take it from him. He said no, not today. He wasn't about that. So shout outs to him. Number 1 pound for pound in the game right now. No one can really question that at this point in time. And yeah, I'd be more than happy to watch the fight again. I think it would be a similar result, but from the way they was talking at that post-fight press conference, I don't think they're as keen as they were when they was in the ring. And Maestro, just to sort of, I guess, push back on your little point about the Ukraine thing being in the media and all that, and I agree, it's something that is pushed and whatnot. But that being said, that had no bearing on this. And Fury saying what he said basically takes it almost deflects from the fact that every single person that was associated with this event in any way, shape, or form wanted Tyson Fury to win. None of them made any secret of it either. Eddie Hearn, Frank Warren, His Excellency Turkey Al-Sheikh, all of the promoters from all the TalkSport guys, even they all picked him. Everyone was backing Tyson Fury. So Usyk didn't have anyone who had any power on his side in this mode, in my opinion. And even when you say I will give concessions to them, they're getting busted up and like they get a mic stuck in front of them straight away. To me, I understand what you're saying, but I also think in that moment you ain't got time. You haven't got the time or the mental faculties to think of an answer or think of a narrative. So usually the answer you give in those moments is your true feelings. It's the same as a lot of the time when you're angry and frustrated, you ain't got time to think of it. When you act on emotion, you normally get the true feelings and thoughts of people. And I think that those was Tyson's true thoughts and feelings at the time. So I'm not going to give him a pass for that. And he's got so much history of those kind of statements and xenophobia and stuff. I don't think we can look at this as an isolated incident. But overall, it was a good fight. The right person won. The person who I always predicted to win was gonna won. I never wavered from that. Obviously, myself and Red had many conversations about this before, and I always told her how the fight would play out and why the fight would play out in that way. The only thing is, I thought that Usyk was going to get that stoppage, and to be honest, he probably should have. By the letter of the law, he could feel aggrieved that he wasn't given a KO victory in the ninth. But shout out to Fury for the powers of recovery, if nothing else.
Yeah, and going on from that, then one of the things that I like to listen to is the corner work. I know that when Fury fought Francis Ngannou, I don't think his father was part of the camp during that. I think there may have been, I don't know, going through some sort of disagreements, because I think his father at that time was campaigning, saying that he needs to obviously watch who he's got around him, etc., etc. He's possibly got the wrong people around him, and then obviously his father gets back in the mix. I agree with like the headbutt situation. There was no need for it, but in the world that we live in, if somebody's getting eaten by a shark, people are going to get their phones out rather than save the person from getting eaten by the shark. This is the world that we live in, whether it's right or wrong. It's clearly wrong, but it doesn't matter because we live in the world of social media. How many views can I get on this? And this is the state of it, basically. So that's why I do believe that he got away with something that, especially in a country like that, that just wouldn't have been allowed to happen. But moving on to the corner, the fight, one of the things that I always find irritating, I remember seeing it when Dillian White fought Povetkin. He had one trainer in the ring and he had another trainer outside, and they were both talking to him, both giving him instructions, and he was looking at the ring. Fury was doing the same thing. His dad was giving some good instructions, as was his lead coach, but you could see that there were frustrations there. And I don't know how you feel, but when you've got two people shouting at you, which voice are you going to listen to? In this case, it could have possibly been his dad. Joel Parker was stood doing the presenting, not quite commentary, but presenting. And he was saying that what he thought, and obviously he's in camp with Fury all the time, is that he would have had a different attitude towards the fight and possibly come in more aggressive, used his attributes more, which would suggest that maybe the plan that was initially suggested wasn't being adhered to, and hence the fight itself. The press conference, I started to get worried because why wouldn't he face off with him? I saw a couple of people put up Errol Spence and Crawford as an example, and then I had one of my subscribers send me like the David Hay video where he didn't face off with him, the fight that never happened all those years ago. However, he was still jovial. He was still moving around David Hay, posing in front of him, winding him up that way, being probably more passive aggressive, but this time there was just no engagement. So that's when I started to get worried. Then obviously we had the pushing and the shoving at the weigh-in. Base, I didn't see him as nervous in the fight. I thought he was boxing really well. At some points in the fight, really well. The way that he was calculated with the shots that he was throwing at Usyk, whether he'd the feints. I like the feints. I like the feints that he was doing with his head, his feet, the triple feints, and then going in and then throwing in the combinations and really trying to work the body of Usyk, which I saw that he did hurt a couple of times. It was a really enjoyable fight. I was laughing nervously when I was on the live because the way that he started showboating made me nervous. But I'm like, oh, okay, what's he doing here? Please don't do this. This is too much of a serious fight. And with Usyk, and I should have guessed it really because he's done it with every fight. He spends a lot of time downloading. He's downloading in the first few rounds, and he's almost like, I don't know if you guys. There's a horror film that I like, and I like to use this as an example called Insidious. There's this ghost that's after this kid, And as the time got, every time the mum took a picture of this kid, this ghost was getting closer and closer and closer until they had to do all sorts of things to get him away from the ghost. That's what Usyk was doing through the fight. He was literally at a distance and he was just creeping closer and closer until he could get inside and let his shots go. Everyone talks, makes complaints, say about Usyk's power. It's the succession, it's cumulative shots going to the head. It's going to do you some damage. He did it to Anthony Joshua, I think, was it the first fight that they had, when it was literally the last bit and someone said, don't knock him out. Remember all of that kerfuffle around it? This is what Usyk does. But I do think that Tyson Fury did give a good account for himself. One of the other things I want to say is that I don't believe Usyk's ever got the respect that he's deserved for what he's achieved. I spoke to Alex Krasiak, I think it was when he was going to fight Dubois, sat down, and you was there, Base, had a really good conversation with Alex Krasiak, who told me that he's always been written off. Even when he was in the amateurs, all the way through his career, he's been written off. People like, nah, you can't do that. You're not going to be able to do that. He's always been told he'd never get anywhere, and he's always pushed back, and obviously got where he is today, unified, undisputed at cruiserweight, elevated to super champion, and is now dominating the heavyweight division. A very good fighter. To me, that just hasn't got the credit. His name second on the flyer when he's got the majority of the belts. I've mentioned all of this. I wanted Tyson Fury to win because I just did. That's my prerogative. I wanted him to win, but at no point would I ever be disrespectful to what Oleksandr Usyk has achieved throughout his career. And sometimes things like that make me sad. Do you know what I mean? You can say, what's he saying? Irrelevant. It's not. It's very relevant because that's how it is. But jump in. Sorry, what was you saying?
One thing I just want to say with regards to, even though people talk about, the thing is, when people talk about Usyk and his power, if you notice, he's got the accumulation thing, but he very, very rarely sits down on his shots. In this fight, he was actively sitting down on his shots because he knew, obviously, number one, there's a big barrier that he's got to get through. But I truly think that this is the fight he's like, I need to make a statement here because otherwise I'm going to get jobbed. I truly think he had in his mind, I'm not going to get fair consideration, so I need to make all of these shots count. And I think that's why he wasn't moving the way that he normally moves. He was standing in front of Fury a lot with his feet planted, throwing his shots. And you could tell that they were having effect. Hence why Tyson Fury, who's never looked that Bambi-legged before, got hit with a shot which had Usyk's entire body behind it, and he couldn't recover from it for a good 20-30 seconds. So yeah, that's just one thing I wanted to mention there. And with regards, I put in the private chat, I think Tyson Fury was nervous all the way up until getting in the ring. I think he grew into confidence as the fight was going on, and I think he even then got overconfident after the 6th round, and that's basically where his downfall came, because he stopped being switched on. And if you looked every minute, I don't know why, maybe this is just me seeing something, but he would be walking around the ring. It's almost like he's doing his reset, but he's not doing the tell that he normally does when he's trying to, but he was walking literally almost with his back to Usyk, or not looking at him, like walking away, like, oh, something's wrong. And I didn't know if he had like maybe one of those shots to hurt him, like maybe concussed him, but he was physically not looking. And Usyk's almost like he's looking at him like, I could attack you right now, but I want you facing me. I don't want a cheap shot kind of thing. Like almost that, the same way as he could have really got to him before the ref jumped in when he hit the ropes, but he was almost like he hesitated from some kind of bit of honor or something. So I don't know if anyone else noticed that, but yeah, I just thought
talking about.
No, from the first round, Maestro, I remember what I noticed in the first round, Usyk hit him with like a swiping left, and you can see on the replay, Fury's eyes kind of roll like, raw, that kind of hurt. And what I noticed is that Fury kept doing this thing where he's looking at the floor. When you're saying he's turning to the side base, he's looking at the floor, going like that, walking off. You know, like what Chisora was kind of doing to Joseph Parker when every time Parker dropped him, he kept walking off like that, looking at the floor and looking for a corner. But
and Herkovich in the Zhang fight as well.
Yeah, he kept looking at the floor, walking off like that. So
The
So
issue with the nerves, I mean, every fighter's nervous before a fight.
no, that weren't nerves. It was when he was getting hit. He kept doing that.
No, I'm
What
talking
one?
about what Beast was saying in terms of him being nervous up until like going
Listen,
into the ring or
tough.
whatever. I mean,
Yeah,
every fighter's nervous. I mean, you'd expect a fighter to be nervous going into an undisputed heavyweight championship first in almost 25 years.
years. Yeah.
But here's the other thing too. I want to give Usyk all the credit because he stamped himself as an all-time great fighter. I thought he was already a first ballot Hall of Famer when he beat Joshua for the unified championships. But to call Fury a fraud and all of these other names because he lost to a fighter of this caliber, I just find that childish and immature and totally lacking an understanding of basically boxers in a fighting. I mean, what makes Fury a fraud? I mean, he just went 12 hard rounds with a guy who's a clear first ballot Hall of Famer and an all-time great. I mean, and it's his only loss as a professional, and he's a former world champion, you know, a unified world champion. So I don't quite understand the people that call fighters frauds and these other kind of names, to be quite honest.
Yeah,
but look, everybody's entitled to their opinion. Obviously, freedom of speech. Go
but
for it.
are they calling Fury a fraud because of this fight, or are they calling him a fraud in general? That's the question.
I don't know. Have you called him a fraud?
I've called him a fraud, not based on this particular fight. I've called him a fraud for many other things.
I mean, it's not they. I mean, why are you calling him a fraud?
Yeah, I've called him a fraud because he acts one way, does something totally different, acts like he's a generational talent when he doesn't have a resume that can stand on that. He's taken many soft touches, but acted like, oh well, I'm too good to fight the other people anyway because I'll just beat them. So rather than taking those fights, he's ultimately taken the easier option and just allowed the narrative to run that I'm the greatest, so I don't have to fight these people. That's what I've called him a fraud.
So
Nothing to do with losing this particular one fight.
So is Mayweather a fraud?
Well, we can't look at Mayweather's record with the same way as Tyson Fury's.
Mayweather calls himself the greatest of all time.
TBE.
He says he's the greatest of all time because he went 50. Literally, he calls himself the greatest of all time because he went 50-0, and the 50 happened to be against Conor McGregor. Is Mayweather a fraud, or is he just a boxer amongst many?
He's got fraudulent traits.
Is braggadocious, makes constantly contradicts himself, and yes, has benefited from skillful matchmaking. I mean, professional boxing isn't professional tennis. You aren't told who you have to fight most of the time. You matchmake fights and put on shows. That's the nature of the sport. So I just don't agree with the whole fraud tag because first and foremost, calling him a fraud diminishes Usyk's accomplishment. And what I felt occurred Saturday night was a great accomplishment for Oleksandr Usyk. So that's just my opinion, but people are free to disagree. It's fine.
And that's the thing with this, and this is why it's a good debate because there's so much discussion around it. Like I said, I don't think Usyk has ever got the flowers that is deserved, but I think that Tyson Fury put up a really good performance. There's some people arguing that this fight could have been a draw. Some people are saying he could have won. Some people it was a good fight to watch. But the problem is, and this is why people do have an issue with Fury, is exactly what Base was saying about the things outside of the ring, the promises, the up and the down, saying one thing this day, saying another thing another day, the deadlines, the phone calls, all of these things, it does play into part of who you are. And it does make it look like sometimes, is this guy taking the fight game serious? And you have to remember that when Anthony Joshua lost twice to Usyk, which we know what Usyk is, how he was belittled. I think somebody said it in the comments, how he was ridiculed by Fury until it was obviously his turn to have the fight. And that is me, like I said, from the stance that I wanted Fury to win. It works both ways.
I understand that, October, but at the end of the day, he got into the ring and fought and put his life on the line for entertainment. So I mean, I'd understand it if he went running from the fight, it never happened. But he gave us the fight. He gave Usyk the fight. He gave the fans across the world the fight. I mean, and look, boxing is filled with
both of them did.
Both of them did, exactly. But boxing is filled with stories of fighters fighting other fighters, and then after they lose to those fighters, being called all kind of names. I mean, George Foreman went into retirement following. Obviously, it was it was a temporary retirement, but he came back out following the loss to Ali, because people were essentially saying he was a hype job and he was this and that, and he hadn't really been tested against the greats until he fought Ali, and then quote unquote got exposed, and he was ridiculed for it for quite a while. That's just one example, and again, that's another Hall of Fame fighter that's experienced this. So look, he gave us a fight. He lost the fight. We'll see if he does the rematch, but the credit should be given to Oleksandr Usyk, in my opinion, for taking on a man nearly 40 pounds bigger than him, knocking him to the ground, and winning a decision and becoming the first unified champion since Lennox Lewis did, again, nearly 25 years ago.
Yeah, and also why you have to give Usyk credit, he is the definition of the road warrior. Let's go through the resume.
1 sec, stay there. I've got to just throw this comment because Bruce has put it up several times. Shout out to Bruce. Scared to look at X when you're on there, but anyway, I digress. Maestro, what generational performance have we seen from Fury that makes him that? What do you think?
That makes him what?
It's because he's commented it several times and I've missed it.
I mean, the generational
great.
Generational from Fury was going to Germany and defeating Vladimir Klitschko in the way that he did. You know, you got to look at who Klitschko was at that time, his status in the sport, perceptions of his beatability. Very few people picked Fury to go into that fight and win it. He did. And yeah, you know, when you're talking about lifting, what was it, 4 versions of the heavyweight championship on foreign soil, that's a generational performance. That doesn't make you the greatest of all time or anything like that. But yeah, Klitschko was the man of that era, and he defeated him after a long stretch of Klitschko reigning over the heavyweight division. So there's that. I mean, look, boxing is filled with people who have made names for themselves, having epic, once-in-a-lifetime type moments against other fighters. Sometimes it's their only big win, but it was a big, significant win in terms of the history of the sport.
We could go on, but let Danny wants to chop up some bits. Danny, what are you saying?
So, Glowacki, this is Usyk's resume on the road.
Yeah.
Krzysztof Glowacki in Poland, Michael Hunter in America, Marco Huck in Germany, Marius Bradis in Latvia, Murat Gassiev in Russia, Tony Bellew in the UK, Derek Chisora in the UK, Anthony Joshua 1 in the UK, Anthony Joshua 2 in Saudi Arabia, Daniel Dubois in Poland, then Tyson Fury in Saudi Arabia, all on the road. And one thing I will say, Mark Nelson, yeah, he did make a bad call, but maybe he was concussed because he had to take a big shot earlier in the night, if any of you saw that. So maybe he wasn't in the right frame of mind.
Who catch him?
One of the fighters boxed him in his mouth. He took it on the chin. I forgot the fighter's name. It was on the undercard.
It was in the prelims, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Lappin fight.
No, not Lappin.
The other one. Oh, Isaac Lowe.
Nah.
I think it was an Ika fight.
Oh, right, okay.
It weren't the Enika fight because I remember he stopped that guy. This is before that. It was before
I
the
didn't
Enika
see
fight.
this.
It was before that.
What I did see though was that Ajit Caballero put in a whooping on Frank Sanchez.
Oh, I wanted to talk about that as well because I
go on then.
predicted
That was
Ajit
a big
Caballero.
win for Ajit Caballero.
I predicted Ajit Caballero would beat Frank Sanchez, just like I predicted Ajit Caballero would beat Makhmudov last time out. I didn't think he would stop him, but my gosh, this guy is the Turkish body snatcher because he is taking these heavyweights out to the body viciously.
Technically Kurdish, just to put that out there.
Yeah, technically Kurdish, but he lived in Turkey, West Turkey, but based out in Germany, like the great Samuel Sam back in the day, if you remember him as well. Beat Danny Williams back in the day. But yeah, this guy with the work rate he has and the body shots, this guy is going to be a big problem for anyone. I would actually like to see him versus Usyk would actually be a very good fight because the work rate and the body shots, that would be a very good fight, and stature wise as well. That I think that would be a good fight because he's now the mandatory with the WBC.
Yeah,
and
I'd like to see him come out and fight a guy like F.A. Ajagba here in the U.S.
I deal with him. He'll deal.
Yeah,
with
I know
him.
he would. I know he would, but I'm being obviously biased here. I'd like to see him out here. We haven't seen him out here yet, and I believe that F.A. Ajagba holds a title with the WBC, if memory serves me well. So
he has the international.
Yeah, he's ranked in the WBC. And failing that, Jared Big Baby Anderson, that would be a good fight too that I'd like to see. I don't know if Anderson's ready for Ajit though, to be honest.
No,
you saw that last shot he hit him with, Danny, was a jab.
Yeah, jab to the body, the JB, man.
Solar plex.
Yeah, that was a stab.
Yeah,
he shanked him, man.
Mm-hmm.
And he couldn't take it. But Frank Sanchez, he likes to work at his own pace, and he was not ready for that work rate. And those body shots was definitely breaking up, and those overhand rights. He just kept. It was a matter of time before it was going to take its toll on him because he just couldn't get out of the way. He was moving, but his feet ain't fast enough. I know he says he's 30, 31 or whatever, but even when I saw him when he was 27, I'm like, this brother ain't no 27-year-old. So them feet and his face and his legs, I know he's a bit older than that. But
we're talking about Frank Sanchez.
Frank Sanchez.
He finally decided to shave his head, which I thought was the best look for him.
Yeah.
Yeah. That pushback hairline for a while. But at the end of the day, it was Caballero that made him lean back.
Yeah.
That body shot. So
he pushed them kidneys back, man. But also Lapin, good win for him. I saw him out in Poland for that's the first time I saw him when he got the stoppage win out there. So good win for him. Baranchek beat Navarrete. So it was a great night for Ukraine, man. And Lomachenko obviously done the business the other day as well. So they're having an Indian summer, as they say.
It's going to be interesting to see if we see Dennis Baranchik take on Loma because they both have titles at 135. They're both with Top Rank now because Top Rank got options on him through the Navarrete fight. I believe he's also affiliated with Queensberry and K2, so he's got like 3 promoters right now. I don't know if they'll make that happen though.
Baranchik said no at the end of the fight. He said he was looking for Shakur Stevenson.
I don't like that fight for him at all. That's easy.
It's a bit too yeah. But Baranchik, I saw him fight. He was fighting in Poland on that show as well. That Usyk show. So yeah,
this was his first fight in the U.S.
Yeah, no, that was really
in England too, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yvonne Mendy.
There you go.
Guys, so what's next for both fighters? Are we going to see, to wrap this up, are we going to see a rematch in October? That's a date that's been implied. We thought that we was going to get Wilder versus Joshua maybe in Wembley in the UK, September the 21st. Now Wilder seems to be already tapped up to go and fight Jared Anderson. What are we thinking?
If he gets by a Big Bang. Which is
I think it's either or, if I'm honest.
That's no foregone conclusion.
Yeah, October, I agree. They'll serve him up regardless.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they'll serve him up regardless, I think.
I think so. I think so. So what are we saying then? Are we getting this rematch in October or what?
Well, Fury, he said in the ring immediate, but at that press conference, he was talking about taking time out and this and that, and I'll see how I feel. Look at my face, I'm busted up, so I need to think about things. So I'm not too sure. He might go on a big hiatus because mentally, I think, do you know what it is? When someone's big and they could never envision the little man beating them, that mentally does something to their head because for so long it's the little middleweight that you got. Then he's ridiculed Anthony Joshua. You bodybuilder, you got beat by some little middleweight, your little rabbit, your little this, your little toothpick, you this and that. So he's thinking, this little guy is actually big. It's like when Joshua had the meltdown. How did you do it? I'm bigger than you. I'm stronger than you. What? And he had the meltdown. So I think Fury indoors, I think he might end up having a meltdown.
Well,
if he hasn't got the right people around him. So I'm not too sure. So I think Joshua will end up fighting this winner of Hrgovic Dubois in Wembley. And hopefully it's Dubois. And then it'll be a nice all London derby.
That'd be nice.
Yeah.
Is Watford technically London?
No.
Outer London, Greater London, just about.
It's like not even Zone 6, is it?
Yeah, it gets lumped in a bit, but it's like it's seen as Greater London. You can just about get away with it. But I don't think he was born in Watford. He was born in North, and then he moved to Watford, and then he had to leave and then go back to North. And
started boxing in North London.
Yeah,
so London, he probably lives in London now. So, but yeah. So look, in terms of the rematch, look, if Fury wants to be considered this generational heavyweight, he needs
rematch.
3 things. Number 1, he needs to rematch Usyk. Number 2, he needs to beat Usyk. And number 3, he needs to take on Anthony Joshua and beat Anthony Joshua. Do all 3 of those things, and you're the guy generationally. But as things stand right now, the generations were Lennox, and now we're in the new generation of Undisputed, and it's Usyk. So Fury's got some work to do, and now's the time, honestly, to live up to all of the talk from before. And, I was being a little bit harsh on the Fury critics earlier, but here's the fact. He does do a lot of talking, and that opens you up for criticism. And when you fall like he has in this moment, this is where it's now your opportunity to try to come back. I was talking about this with a friend yesterday. There was a time when losing your title and regaining it was something considered special. It's the reason why people always considered Muhammad Ali to be so great, because he was the first 3-time heavyweight champion of the world. Right? It was considered a great thing when my man Lennox, who I consider the GOAT at heavyweight, because honestly, I look at all of these guys, I don't see any of them beating Lennox personally. That's just my opinion. And I don't think Lennox gets the credit he deserves either. Not in the UK, not in England, maybe in Canada, not in Jamaica. But I digress.
He does get love in Jamaica.
Man, I went to so many Jamaican barbershops, Danny, growing up, where all of the guys were talking Tyson, and questioning everything from Lennox's skills to, whether, and I don't even want to say it, it's too disrespectful.
To his marital status, yes, I know.
I don't want to even say it, it's too disrespectful to my man Lennox. The point is, a lot of people were questioning his status in the sport historically and in those times, but here's the thing. Once he lost it, regained it, lost it, regained it, that to me improved and magnified his prestige, just like it did with Muhammad Ali.
Evander Holyfield.
Evander Holyfield and the other people who've lost. Vladimir Klitschko. Because that whole process of rebuilding yourself after a tough loss, after being beat up in front of everybody and coming back and taking glory, that is really what will, to me, make you generational. So if he can do that, then yeah, generational. If he leaves now and doesn't rematch Usyk and even try to do these things, then yeah, the floodgates are open for the accusations and the harsh words of him not living up to what he was portraying himself to be. But we're not quite just there yet. Definitely not just after this loss to Usyk.
Even going back to Joe Louis, when he got knocked out by Max Schmeling, come back and regained it. So this goes back, we can go through the annals of history. So even Joshua, both times he lost, he ran it back straight away. People don't give Anthony Joshua the credit he deserves, that he was straight on running it straight back.
Yeah, with Ruiz and Usyk.
Ruiz and Usyk, straight away. No delays, I'm going to see how
Nah,
it goes.
nothing. Yeah.
He's straight on it. So people try to punk Anthony Joshua and try to style him too much, but let's see if Fury's so keen to get back in there so quickly.
Let's see if he's made of what Joshua was made of when he rematched Ruiz after a hellish beating. Let's face facts. The beating to Andy Ruiz was far more embarrassing and soul-crushing than what just happened with Usyk and Fury. You're talking about a last-minute replacement opponent, an obese guy that had never fought at that level, who was knocking you around from pillar to post. Joshua
he had fought that level one time before, remember, with Joe Parker.
Okay.
Joe Parker, I don't really think Joe Parker was in the discussion, to be honest, with Wilder and Joshua at that time. Maybe among some, but also he never did that to Joe Parker. He did it to AJ. But all I'm saying is AJ picked himself up off the floor, him and his team, and he immediately fought him again, right? So again, if you want to be the generational guy, you got to at least try to do what AJ did. You know what I mean? And what
should Usyk retire?
Muhammad Ali did, and what all of these other greats did, Evander Holyfield.
Maestro, but we like I said, we live in an era now where everyone's so focused on winning that psychologically they can't deal with losing. I think it's just where we are now socially as people. You hear everything about winning, but it's almost like losing is scorned upon. Psychologically, how many fighters nowadays that you see that have had a loss, maybe not even at a high level, but they can't deal with it. I get it. Everyone's in front of cameras and there's a lot of pressure on. No disrespect to anybody, but it's like, are people really built for losing these days and have that hunger to say, okay, I've lost it all, I'm going to come back and get it? And that's why you can tip your hat to Anthony Joshua, because he's done it, and he's done it more than once.
Yeah. Yep. And of course to Lennox. All of them McCall, really? Hasim Rahman in South Africa, really? These were much more kind of, I would say, embarrassing losses, right?
Devastating.
Yeah, devastating than getting beat by Usyk. But they came back from that.
And Lennox got cleaned out both times as well.
Yeah. We're talking about knockout losses here.
Yeah.
This is boxing.
And the one against Oliver McCall, I used to see that picture poster across every betting shop in London for years. That image of him getting caught on the exchange with Oliver McCall. And then the one against Hasim Rahman, he got sprayed out on the canvas. Then in the press conference, he tried to have a little tussling match, and Hasim Rahman just draped him up across the table and mugged him off. It was bad. So for him to actually get in there and knock him out, it took a lot. It took a lot, man. So you have to take your hats off to man like Lennox Lewis, Riddick Bowe, Evander Holyfield, all the legends before. And I think Tyson Fury doesn't really pay the homage he needs to, because now he can stop screaming all this, no man born from his mother.
Yeah.
You know what? Can beat
Reed
me.
Macbeth, Usyk, apparently, somebody put in the chat, I think it's Jack, pound for pound, Jack, shout out to you, that Usyk was born by cesarean. If you know the story of Macbeth, he said the same thing. Well, he went to see 3 witches and they said to him, don't worry about it. No man born of a woman will be able to kill you. And the man that eventually did kill Macbeth, because I like the Shakespeare stories, was a woman that was torn from the stomach of his mother, cesarean. So somebody's just popped that in the chat as well. That's if, I like my old English stories, one of my favorite subjects at school.
Yeah.
And on that note, should Usyk retire? There's a few people that have mentioned that in the comments. He's done so much. He's got nothing. He's got nothing to prove.
No, he does though.
And thank you, Drogo. I love that story.
I'll tell you why. Because he signed on for 2 fights.
Yeah, I don't think he'll retire.
Here's the thing:
all.
if he wants to retire, and if Fury doesn't want the rematch, then by all means. But I think the fact that he signed on to this rematch, and it was something that apparently he was insisting on. If you believe Team Fury, I don't know if people should or not, but that's up to them. It was Usyk's team that really wanted the rematch. And if you know, I'm not discounting anything that Base was saying earlier. You could see why that team would feel that the tables were turned in the other favor, and that you would want a rematch in case things didn't go the way that you'd want them to go. So I'm not knocking them for wanting a rematch, but if Fury doesn't take the rematch, by all means. But if Fury wants the rematch, then you should give him the rematch, considering it's something you both signed on for. And I would be saying the same thing as well if it was the other way around.
No, I think Usyk will. If Fury's on the rematch, he will.
Usyk will want it.
Yeah, if Fury's on it, Usyk will do it. But it's about if Fury wants to. But if Fury doesn't want to, then Usyk, he's got nothing else to prove, really. So he can just bow out now, because the only other person who was a champion, in this era, really Wilder, but no one ain't trying to see Usyk Wilder.
Wilder and Parker. Wilder and Parker. Those are the two teams.
Yeah, we'd see what he do to him, really. So there's no point for that now. He says he wants to rest, kiss his wife. He can live happily ever after, man. And he's a don, man. Ratings to him. So,
and initially, he was saying that once he reaches Undisputed, once he completes his mission, then he hasn't really got anything else to do. But the other day, I think he was saying that he's looking to carry on until he's 40 because he just likes to fight. However, I agree with Maestro in the sense that if Fury does enact the rematch clause, he should honor it, because obviously Usyk has always shown himself to be a man of his word, a man of principle, a man of God. However, that being said, imagine if we've got Tyson Fury, the guy that is the habitual non-taker of the rematches when they're supposed to be taken, and Usyk decides to do to him what he did to Vladimir Klitschko, and okay, I'm retiring, I can't do this anymore, body's breaking down, I need to take a break. I could imagine him maybe doing that as the last mind game. I said, oh, maybe I'll see you in the future. And after all the belts have gone, do you want the rematch when it's just me and you and nothing else, and the money's not the same, and testing if Fury's got the same heart that he would have? Because I feel that Usyk would have had that fight regardless of how many 70s, 80s, hundreds of millions may have been on the table, whereas Fury wanted the money. So I could see him doing something like that. But if Fury just came out and said, yep, okay, I've decided I want the rematch, and Usyk's already lost that Undisputed, because he's not going to be able to keep that belt for so long as they actually don't decide on what they're going to do with the rematch. He's not going to be able to hold on to it. Yeah, I would say, okay, honor it. If you can beat him again, beat him. If you can't, okay, well, at least you know that you had the one great night and you achieved something he still can't achieve. He's not undisputed, you are, etc., etc. Go for it. But if he did decide to do the skullduggery, as much as it would take him down a little bit in my estimation, because I don't think he's that kind of character, I could see the poetic justice and the karma in it. And somewhere in the back of the mind, I would find it funny.
I think a lot of people would, to be fair, because I'm sure I've seen that. Somebody said that somewhere before. Listen, we're going to wrap it up. We've been going for nearly 2 hours. Yeah, go on. I was about to say, anybody want to say anything before we jump on?
I did want to talk about this undercard co-feature that is Berinchyk.
Go on.
It was on ESPN here in the United States. Obviously, the main event was Berinchyk against Navarrete, and Navarrete moved up to 135 and lost in his bid to become yet another weight class champion from Mexico. So there was a fight between Giovanni Santillan, who I know some people are familiar with because he beat the brakes off of Alexis Rocha in his last fight. And Alexis Rocha was a guy who was rising in the 147 ranks. He took on a guy named Brian Norman Jr., who's out of Atlanta, and they were fighting for the interim WBO welterweight championship. The assumption, obviously, is that the title is going to be vacated soon because Crawford's moving up to 154 to take on Israel Madrimov. Brian Norman Jr. won by brutal knockout. It was in the 10th round of the scheduled 12-round fight. I have to say that I was appalled by what I saw last night in that fight. Norman broke Santillan's nose. It was badly broken. I'd say worse than broken. It was shattered. It's a type of thing that's going to require surgery to repair. Santillan ended up actually being stretchered out of the arena after the 10th round knockout. And I'll tell you why I was really disappointed by what I saw. Bernardo Osuna went to the corner to speak to Robert Garcia during the 9th round, right? The round before the stoppage. And Santillan was bleeding profusely from the nose, and Garcia's response to the questions about what's going on is, well, he's just going to survive this round and he's going to turn it up in the 10th, 11th, and 12th. Anyone watching that fight knows that wasn't going to happen. We go to the 10th round. He's gone out. He gets brutally knocked down. At that point, you should end the fight. You need to throw in the towel and save your fighter. That didn't happen. Instead, he got up and then got brutally knocked out, like pretty much almost cold. Blood streaming everywhere. Norman posing on top of him. It was like a big sports show here called Sports Center. It was like a big moment. I don't blame Norman. I mean, he's in adrenaline rush, whatever. The fact is, he should have never been sent out for that 10th round. And if you are going to send him out, when that first knockdown happens, you really got to stop the fight. I was going to share the photo that I took off the TV of him being stretchered out, but it was really bad for me to see a guy with so much promise and really? Potentially have that taken from him because of the fact that his corner was so brave. The corner should be there to protect the fighter.
Guys, I don't know if you've got anything to say on that, because I haven't watched that yet, because obviously I've just been enveloped into what the fight over in Saudi. I don't know, Danny, have you got anything on that?
No, I didn't watch the card because I went bed after the Saudi card because I had to be up early in the morning. But I did see the highlight of that knockout where he did do that whole posting like what's his name did when he knocked out Colbert that time. Chris
Venezuela.
Colbert.
That what he does there?
Yeah, he did that kneel down pose thing. I just saw that knockout and that pose. That's all I've seen from it.
Base, I don't know. Have you caught?
No, I saw some of the fight. I didn't manage to see all of it. So I can't attest to obviously what Maestro said, but I'm gonna take his word for it. It looked like it was a bit of a bad situation, so I'm not sure why it carried on. But because I didn't see that part, I can't really give context. But if it's as he says, that's bad practice by the corner, and they should probably have their licenses looked at moving forward. Personally, but yeah, that's all I can really say.
Yeah,
we see these things in fights, though, don't we? We see these things in certain fights, championship fights, when there's a lot on the line that people let things slide, and it could be to the detriment of the fighter. We were round 9. We was talking about this. It happens.
Yeah. It's like Usyk said, bad behavior.
Sorry, this big man was so much more brutal than that 9th round in Saudi.
You know what I mean, though.
Yeah, I know what you mean, and I'm just saying you're talking about a young kid with his whole future ahead of him. I personally just hope he's able to bounce back from this. And by the way, Brian Norman Jr., new WBO interim champion at 147. You guys got to be on the lookout for him. He was actually on the Ray Ford undercard earlier this year in upstate New York when Ray Ford won the title.
Yeah.
And
I heard I've seen him before. I thought he was a bit crude, but from what I've seen, he looks pretty good in this fight. So I got to watch it properly.
Yeah, let me just shout out this final one in the chat. I caught the show late, but definitely a lot of good stuff here. Dropping gems. You all were. Professionalism too. So much love to you. Listen, guys, you were all fantastic. I don't think there's anything else left to talk about. Fight Fan Lives just nailed it on the head there. Hit the like button. We're probably going to do this again. I'm gonna make the presumption and say post 5v5. We do the same thing, same time, Sunday night. Everyone's in, everyone's at home. Obviously, it's a different time zone for Maestro. So yeah.
well,
And Danny, when are you going to be back?
Kache when he's up
I'm coming
already.
I'm gonna be back on the 3rd, so I'll be in Saudi. But
Oh, you're going out? Oh, of course you are.
yeah, but I should be all right
Shout
for
out to
Sunday
Craig
because we're
Richards.
free. Yeah, we're 3 hours ahead.
So it'll be 1 a.m. if it's 10 o'clock.
Yeah,
Can we push it? Can we push it earlier?
On the
yeah,
Sunday, yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Can we
good.
do like 6 p.m. UK time, and then that's sort of like what 9 p.m. then? Yeah.
yeah. That
Would
sounds
be 1 p.m. my time. That works out.
Is that okay?
I was just out of the city
Or
today.
if you do 7 and then it's 10 p.m. my time, which is 2 p.m. Maestro time.
Is that better? 7 p.m. If we
Yeah.
got a date. I like the way we're just doing this on live. It don't matter anyway.
Yeah, because I know on the Sunday, Craig's gonna want to go out.
How to
Craig's
cook.
gonna want to go out probably for a little bit because he's gonna have to be in camp mode the whole time. So I know Sunday. So yeah, by night time I'll be back in the hotel.
Yeah,
Right.
I hear that. Listen, we're going to get off anyway, about time, because it's getting late. Thank you, all of you in the chat. Thank you for the super chats. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for the comments in there, the constructive ones. You know, we've had some good conversation, especially from you guys in the chat. Panel, Base, Danny, Maestro. Okay, next week, and we're out.
Yeah.
Later.
I should put that one on, actually.
People say I'm toxic, and honestly, I don't care.